So it is official. With the launch of World of Warcraft Midnight, combat add-ons are no more. That means DBM gone. Details gone. WeakAuras extremely limited in what it can do. Blizzard had a deep dive yesterday talking to Ian in regards to what is coming with Midnight, and this is where it was stated. This has obviously sparked a huge conversation. So basically, add-ons are only going to be able to change the way things look. They can no longer read game logic. And instead of trying to explain that fully, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the clip of Ian talking about it, and then we'll go from there.
So changes to the add-on API with the launch of Midnight. And so that is going to remove the ability for add-ons to read in real time combat state and combat information specifically. So there's a brand new system that's been created where essentially, pieces of information about what's going on in combat are put in a black box. And add-ons can paint that box pink or yellow or green or make it bigger or smaller, but what they can't do is know exactly what's inside the box and use that to drive logic.
All right, so you can see now, basically, add-ons are only going to be able to change the look and appearance of things. They can no longer read game logic. And just to put this in more like a layman's terms as far as what it's going to do, basically, let's imagine like DBM and WeakAuras, okay? And we'll take the very first boss of the Manaforge Omega raid, the Plexus Sentinel. So right now, as it is, if you have an add-on and you're using an add-on, let's say the soak mechanic is going to happen. So the soak mechanic triggers, all of a sudden your alerts are telling you, hey, you need to soak. You need to soak. So that's what everybody does. They go and they soak inside the circle, right? Basically, with this change, that means once this ability triggers, nothing tells you that you need to soak. It just happens. Blizzard is going to have their own timers and stuff, so you'll be able to see like the timeline and the ability trigger, but nothing in the game is going to tell you, hey, you need to soak this right now. That is completely gone. We'll use another example with Plexus Sentinel, and it's in regards to tanks, since a lot of you guys who watch my content are tanks as well. The Plexus Sentinel, the Arcano Cannon, when that goes off, it hits your co-tank, they run off, and as soon as it triggers, then DBM yells at you, taunt now. I don't know exactly when it yells at you. I use Bigwigs, I don't use DBM. But regardless, once the attack goes off, once the tank buster goes off, it yells at you, taunt now, and then you know that you have to taunt. So with this change, that means once that tank buster goes off, it just goes off. Like, nothing is telling you to taunt now. You have to figure it out yourself by paying attention to the boss, knowing what the abilities are going to do, knowing what your role is going to do, and then you react accordingly. Now, obviously, this is sparking a whole lot of hotly debated conversations going on, and people are like, oh, this is going to make the game unplayable or whatever. So they did go further in depth, and I'm going to link the Q&A down below if you guys want to check it out, timestamp to this point where the add-ons, that way you can just skip all the other stuff if you're not worried about it. But basically, Ian also said that because of these changes, the overall goal is to make the game easier to get into and easier to play. And there's other stuff going on. But in regards to just this, basically what they want to do is that when these attacks and stuff goes off, let's say, for instance, the soak mechanic, as it currently is, it is a 5-second cast. You have 5 seconds for everybody to get inside the circle and soak the ability. Without having these guided add-ons, they're going to pay attention to the logs and, people's feedback and see how things are going. And, if it seems like things like that are too difficult, then they're going to extend the time. So maybe because we don't have these add-ons, it's not 5 seconds now, it's the 7-second ability. So that gives you an extra 2 seconds to comprehend like what's going on, and then to critically think and be like, hey, this is a soak mechanic, it's happening, I'm in this group, I need to soak this now. And then you have time enough to react. So it's going to be like a balancing act of them trying to figure out, what the good time frames are in terms of keeping the mechanics challenging, but at the same time, giving people enough time to react accordingly and perform the mechanics correctly. Ian did go on to also state that, for instance, they're trying to keep everything in line with how it is currently. So depending on how you play, right? If you get AOTC, let's say 2 months after the raid releases, then with the next in Midnight, they anticipate that it's going to take you 2 months to reach AOTC again, even without all the add-ons. That's what they want to try to scale the difficulty to. Okay, so let's also talk about something else, because they mentioned this, and that is in regards to tracking debuffs. Because your add-ons can no longer track what is going on and perform logic based off of that information, that means it can no longer track debuffs. And Ian also said that they are going to be implementing this in with like the cooldown manager making it so that it is easier for you to keep track of debuffs that are on your targets. And again, like at face value, that sounds really bad, but at the same time, if you haven't looked at the alpha patch notes yet, you should probably take a peek, because they are literally reworking every single class across the fucking board. I was kind of blown away when I read the patch notes of like, oh my God, they are changing so much shit. And the overall goal with that is basically they want to reduce the amount of bloat that you are having to do. And they used a couple examples with like Feral and Rogue players. I'm not familiar with those classes in terms of what they have to track, but I will speak upon the Unholy Death Knight because I saw the patch notes for that, and they are completely reworking Festering Wounds. If you don't know Unholy DK, you have to keep track of Festering Wounds on your targets, whether that's single or multiple, because it one for one is with your DPS. You have to have Festering Wounds. They are removing that completely. Festering Wounds still exist, but there is also like another plague. Like things are changed to the point that it's not, you're constantly keeping track of an additional resource. So it's not, you know, runic power, runes, and Festering Wounds. Now it's just the disease and then your runes. So they're trying to simplify the classes and make it a lot easier. That is also in regards to like button bloat. They're removing a lot of abilities. They're condensing a lot of stuff. Again, I highly recommend taking a peek at the patch notes. They are changing all the classes to try to make them more simple and intuitive in terms of what they are supposed to be doing. I personally think that's a good idea. I think that there is a lot of massive button bloat, and it is kind of annoying. It is very satisfying to have to master something extremely complicated, but at the same time, it is kind of annoying because it makes it very difficult to just pick up another class and then to jump in at the same level of play that you're already at. And that is probably the biggest perk to this, is that you'll be able to swap to alts a lot more often, and you'll be able to perform at your relatively same level a lot easier. So that's just my opinion on that. I think that's a great thing. My opinion on the add-ons in general is just a great thing because I can't stand the amount of add-ons that there are. So I think it's just an overall win that they're getting rid of it. I anticipated they were getting rid of them in Midnight in one of my previous videos, and I knew by like the Titan, it was 100% add-ons were gone. So I'm glad they're going to go ahead and do this now. Just my opinion. Removing the add-ons with the simplification of the abilities and what you're trying to track is a great thing, in my opinion. If you disagree, please feel free to let me know down in the comments. But I will say the biggest negative to that is that I will no longer be able to use my Luxthos WeakAura. Like, I don't want you to get it twisted. I love add-ons for customization, and Luxthos WeakAura is top tier, the best WeakAura in the game. It is by far the best add-on in the World of Warcraft CurseForge library, in my opinion. I highly recommend it in all of my videos. I did an add-on video where that was my #1 recommended. I heavily lean on it because of what it does for my HUD. And I'll show you a picture just so you can see what it is if you're unfamiliar with it. But with these changes, that means this is gone because it no longer tracks your stuff. So I actually last night went and played Heroic Manaforge, and I was like, I'm going to turn off my WeakAuras. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to keep bigwigs on, obviously, because I like my boss timers, and I'm going to run with their cooldown manager. And I got to say, honestly, even in its current state, first of all, it's not 100% in its current state. I ran into issues with it not tracking things correctly that I needed it to. So for instance, my totem, when I would place it, it would show that it had downpour available, but it wouldn't track the actual time frame. If you're familiar with Resto Shaman, that's a massive, massive issue. I don't know why that's not fixed. I feel like that should have been fixed. But they are obviously overhauling the cooldown manager in Midnight. But I was able to set up the bars almost like Luxthos. And I'll show you a picture of me raiding last night as well, or I'll show you a video. And honestly, you know, performance-wise, I didn't do too bad. I was definitely not performing at 100% of what I normally perform at. But that's also because, you know, slight alterations in the UI, so I'm not as familiar, but I, of course, have like all my keybinds and everything, muscle memory. I understand my cooldowns and how that works and what things are typically becoming available and unavailable. But I was still able to pump pretty well, and I mean, I didn't have any issues healing. Like I said, there was a couple issues graphically, and I hope they get that worked out and straight. But regardless, it is going to be a great thing for the game's health, in my opinion. And with these extra additions to the cooldown manager, I think it is going to be a great thing moving forward for WoW's future. So I'm sure there is a lot of people that are going to disagree with me on this, and that is perfectly fine. You are completely entitled to your own opinion. I don't mind at all. But like I said, I think it's a good thing for the game. And at the same time, if you have not checked out the patch notes for Alpha, I highly recommend you do before jumping to conclusions, because they are condensing classes down quite a bit. And this is probably a super hot take, but I guarantee you by season 2 in Midnight, you are as long as everything goes well, and I'm being optimistic, by season 2 in Midnight, I think you will have pugs clearing half of a mythic raid. That's my hot take and where I think this is going to go. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let me know your thoughts down below. Shout out channel members. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the thumbs down button. I do WoW content. I have guides, tips, and tricks. And occasionally I do news videos like this. And I also live stream every once in a while. So yeah, show some support. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.